America is an automotive society. My autobiography was truly an autobiography until I moved to Ukraine. My parents brought me home from the hospital in this 1941 Chevrolet. My life almost ended in it. I opened the door as my mother was driving across the 10-kilometer long San Francisco Bay Bridge. She couldn't stop. She had to drive with one hand and hold me with the other till she got to the other side. The first car I remember my parents buying was this used 1946 Ford Woody. They had 3 kids by that time. This Woody would have been worth a fortune if they'd hung on to it. Surfers were absolutely nuts about them 10 years later, but my dad traded it for a more reliable Volkswagen Combi. It was primitive, no upholstery on the inside, just metal skin. They upgraded to a microbus, also used, and bought a car like this when my mother started to work. Their first new car was this 1957 Volkswagen. I learned to drive in the Dodge and the Volkswagen and got my driver's license on my 16th birthday driving the Volkswagen. I dropped out of college after 2.5 years and bought a Japanese motorcycle. It was not well made. I traded for an older German motorcycle, which I replaced with a newer one after a friend wrecked it. Girls love motorcycles except when it's cold and rainy, and I like girls, so I needed a car. After 2 false starts, I was driving a Volvo when I finished the University of California at Berkeley, and bought this Volkswagen, my first new car, when I went to work for IBM. It's the only time I ever borrowed money to buy a car. I paid $90 a month. IBM gave me this Toyota to drive when I went to Da Nang, Vietnam. I moved down to Saigon after a year and bought this used Mazda. Then, in my first big automotive mistake, I bought this pistachio-colored Ford Maverick. The Vietnamese laughed. They knew that the Japanese made better cars. The French laughed. Comment ça va, pistache? However, in a second mistake, one of the Frenchified Vietnamese girls married me in spite of the car. German Autobahns had no speed limits. I bought this fast car when I moved there. Thanks to the magic of exchange rates, I was able to sell it for a profit after owning it for 8 years. However, I lost all the money in my second major automotive mistake, buying a 3-ton limousine. Let me assure you that imagining driving a car like this is much more fun than actually being behind the wheel. Even though I had 2 Mercedes in Washington, D.C., I started riding my bicycle to work. A girl was impressed when the bicycle guy showed up for a date driving a Mercedes. We married. I'd used my French and German to help friends buy Peugeots when we were in Germany. We bought one, and then when our family grew to 3 kids, a bigger one. I learned the truth of the saying, there are 3 ways to do anything: the right way, the wrong way, and the French way. The women took over. My wife drove to work, the babysitter used the other car to drive the kids around. Now, I couldn't meet a new client on a bicycle, so I bought a VW. Business got better, the VW got better. We later got this large Ford that took us to the beach, skiing, and on 2 vacations to Canada. The kids needed their own cars. They took the babysitter's 1993 Ford. Teaching my son Jack to drive, it was clear that he needed something safe. We bought this Lincoln. He had 3 accidents in 3 months. He went straight when the road went right. He broke a wheel. Then some stupid deer didn't jump out of his way. New headlights. Lastly, he didn't notice trouble ahead and totally wrecked the car, but he walked away okay. My wife got the cars she liked, and I bought a new convertible to replace the Volkswagen. And I kept on bicycling. When the kids left home, I got a hankering for another nice car. BMW only made 6,000 of these Z8s, and very few of them in this color. I flew to Florida and paid too much money for it. My wife flew down to meet me. She never stopped telling me what a waste of money it was. The kids weren't talking to me, and she wasn't very pleasant either. I got 3 cars in the divorce. I sold the Honda and the Windstar immediately, and the Z8 when I moved to Ukraine. Now I have moved up to a bigger machine, a machine with a chauffeur. I'm happy to let other people buy the gasoline, keep it fixed, buy tires, and find parking. I finally concluded what kind of car I need, a Marshrutka. I still bike, and Eddie's biggest dream is not a car, but a 27-speed bicycle. Enough of cars.